Omno is a definition of an indie gem. It is absolutely superb and engrossing to play. I was emotionally hooked, emotionally invested, and I wanted to see and play out this adventure over a couple of nights because I was that hooked in. It's a beautiful game, easy to pick up and understand, and whilst it won't be massively challenging to people, it has enough going on to keep itself from ever becoming stale. All this comes from a solo developer, which just adds even more amazement to the fact that this thing exists and is of the level of polish and greatness that I think it is. So hats off to Jonas Manke, who spent 5 years creating this game. It is superb and I recommend it to everyone. Why? Well, let's dive in. In Omno you play as this wanderer soul, I guess, as you explore an ancient civilization that seems to have fallen into ruins and silence. As you do this, you'll be wandering across different areas. Some will be forests, some desert, ice tundras, and like a sky Babylon garden as well. And inside these areas, you'll have inside these worlds, you'll have different areas that you can explore. Each area you explore is a level and contains various different things for you to collect. The first one is like book scriptures, which will explain your story as the wanderer as you walk through this civilization. But everything else revolves around energy. Now, animals, when you go near them, they are weird and wonderful creatures and they're just fun to interact with. But as you interact with them, they'll usually drop energy for you to collect in your staff. This can be handy because it will help you solve some puzzles and collect these light orbs. There's several across each area, but you only need to collect 3 in order to progress. And when you do that, you kind of send out this beacon of light and open up the final area puzzle for you to then progress to the next area and continue the story. However, all of the trophies and achievements are tied to you getting 100% clearance in all of the areas, and they're big enough for you to explore and have some fun in, but not large enough for you to get lost and overwhelmed in. They're succinct and to the point. What I really love about Omno as well is that each area and each orb has its own little mini individual puzzle, and some of them start off very simple with just some light platforming elements, but they gradually progress and evolve over time as you add more skills to your bow as the character. So initially you'll start off just by running and jumping around. Then you'll get a dash element, so then that will be for dashing for speed, turning on switches for your puzzles. And then afterwards you'll start to get the ability to surf on your wand as you go around, and that can be really good for some surfing and skiing style of gameplay that's going on. Then after that, you get the ability to teleport around, and that opens up the vastness of levels to specific locations where you need to kind of do eye of sight lining up, moving of lasers, turning on and off of certain lights in order, that kind of thing. And then at the end, you'll get the ability to float as well. So it might be that you'll be running and jumping off a giant platform and then floating and slowly descending down to land on certain platforms, turn on switches, then teleport somewhere else. It's really well done, and although the puzzles aren't challenging per se, they constantly evolve and change and do different things in every single level, and so it stays fresh. It doesn't need that level of difficulty because you're just thinking, right, I get what I need to do on this one and I'm using my new mechanic. But it's not just a new mechanic for that mechanic's sake, it's integrated into everything else, and it's superb the way how it's all done. Omno also gives me huge Journey and Abzu vibes. Firstly, from the narrative of the story itself, you seem to be a wanderer on a journey with your little funky sidekick friend. Don't know what its name is, makes cute sounds though, I love it. And you go on this journey together, and it's clear that you're progressing towards the end, whatever the end is in Omno's terms, and it hypes up that majestic feel not only from a graphical standpoint as well as a narrative one. So you're descending up through the clouds to the heavens, so to speak. The light shining in has a beautiful misting effect that makes everything feel ethereal and otherworldly. And it does it so well, especially when you've got like clouds around and there's like a giant like sky dragon just like floating around doing everywhere, and then you get to ride it and you're like, oh, it's so good. All of that kind of just gives you right in the feels. But then the soundtrack is like a little hidden gem in this as well. It reminds me very much of someone stealing something potentially from Lord of the Rings. Because whenever you surf around, and it's the fastest way to travel quite often, so you'll be doing it quite a lot, it kind of builds up this like aria of like, with swollen strings in the background, and it feels majestic and sweeping and as if like you're in control of your own destiny and onward and all of that kind of stuff. And then when you get off of that and you're playing around with the puzzles, the music transitions into like a plinky, majestic faun and fairy forest feel. It's the best way that I can describe it. It does it so well, and again, it just evokes magic for me, which this game does from start to finish. The game took me about 4.5 to 5 hours to complete without any guides. The beauty of this, though, is that you've got this place that you can sit in a circle and meditate around, and it gives out like an echolocation to where all of your orbs are, and potentially collectibles as well. And so, whilst you only need to do a little bit to proceed on, I found myself wanting to stay and get 100% in every single area, and just exploring and mucking about with some of the animals, getting like the little funky, like weird alien sheep to follow you around. Or there's ones that will like surf in the ice with you on their belly, and they'll just kind of whoop around, having great fun. I didn't need to rush, is what I'm trying to say, because the world feels like you want to live in it, and that's a really great compliment. The fact that this was done by a solo developer just astounds me. An absolute work of art. Do not sleep on this game. I'm so pleased that I found it and picked it up, and it's going to go into my emotional journey collection of games, which I'm sure quite a lot of you that enjoy indie games have, like that little tier of sections. And I'll be returning back to this over and over again, probably maybe once a year, something like that, to just experience that journey and be like, yeah, I feel good now. And then you can go on with your day. Written review will be over on higherplayinggames.com. I hope this was informative. If you found it helpful, give me a like and consider subscribing. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.